right now. Brought to you by Reliant Air Conditioning. It's time for some baseball nuggets. So, no surgery for Aaron Judge as he gets back into the flow during spring training. He said after the doctors checked him again, they said, "You're good to go." And I said, "All right, when can I start throwing?" So it was good. He said his elbow's now feeling great, and he hasn't had any issues so far. Remember, last year he was removed from the outfield and missed some time because of those issues. So he said he's back and ready to roll. So move-ins and shake-ins for the World Baseball Classic team. Roman Anthony is in for Corbin Carroll. I know there was some discussion that Wyatt Langford would be in the mix for one of those spots, but just keep an eye out. Mike Trout, he talked about yesterday how he wasn't allowed to join Team USA because, can you guess? Insurance. Once again, he could not get his contract insured. He would have had to risk his $35 million that he is set to get this year. And this feels like it is already, before the events even started, been the story of the World Baseball Classic is insurance issues.
Dude, do you think any of these Olympians would have been like, no, they spend their whole lives trying to get here.
True.
They're not worried about $35 million. They're barely scraping by. They have to borrow condoms.
I was going to say, I don't know if they're dealing with this kind of money, but I could see how if they would have told Michaela Schifrin, hey, you might not get your $35 million if you race tomorrow, that she would be like, well.
She wouldn't.
Yeah.
She would just be like, it's for the pride and the glory of our country.
How confident are you in that?
Real quick, I want to go back to Roman Anthony, Kevin.
Yes. He's a hell of a player.
I saw he put on 15 pounds of muscle this offseason. And it looks like all of it was in his right arm based on the picture that I saw. Like, this dude is gigantic.
And he hasn't even turned 22 yet. Dude. Last year, he played not even half a season. He had a WAR of 3.1 and an OPS of 859.
See if I can find this picture. I don't know if you've seen it or not, based on your reaction.
I have not. So big things ahead, or at least they hope big things ahead for him. All right, let's talk about the Padres. Oh, my goodness gracious. He looks like Popeye over there. That is, man.
There he is. That's his big ol' arms.
Check and see if he went through a breakup or anything. All right, so AJ Preller. I don't know why I said that. He bats left anyway. All right. AJ Preller has agreed to a multi-year extension with the Padres. And the Padres made an addition that, man, this is fascinating to me. They agreed to a minor league deal with Walker Buehler. Now, go back a couple of years, and it's looking like Walker Buehler, he, had tons of injury issues, and he was going to get a lot of money for himself after helping close out the World Series and everything.
He was so good in the World Series.
Absolutely. And so he signs a 1-year, $20 million deal, and it just goes so bad. And
which you knew it was going to.
I was concerned about that for sure.
What he did in the World Series was amazing.
Yes,
but he didn't do that all year. This was one of those. I'm playing. I got a chance. I'm going to live it up. As we were talking about veterans, we were hoping that you get a good half a season from him. Right, and he had the best moment. He was on the biggest stage and the best moment. And he told everybody out there, was like, we can get that out of him for a full season.
I really thought he was going to get paid more, but it looks like teams were smart to not go in that direction. So he signed with Boston. He was just awful. And then he went to
Philly?
He went to Philly, and so he had a couple of starts, and I think he threw once in relief as well. And he looked really good, but again, he pitched 13 innings. Mm-hmm. And so where the Red Sox are over here and being like, dude, you threw more than 100 innings for us. He had a negative WAR of almost 1 and an ERA of about 5.5. So, look, this is the kind of deal that I think is really smart, though. It's a minor league deal, very low risk, and it still feels like he has the potential to do something there, but he'll also be 32 around the All-Star break, so I understand that maybe that's why other teams weren't interested.
This is the fascinating, careers for baseball players, how 1 year they're amazing, they'll be bad for 2 years, and then be amazing again a third. It's fascinating when it comes to pitchers.
No, you're right. Now, at first when I read this story, I thought Major League Baseball was being a bunch of babies. But MLB TV, the strike zone box, will not indicate whether a pitch is a ball or a strike. And I was like, oh, why? Because you're afraid that your ABS system will be challenged. But then the more I read it, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's actually a really good decision. Good thinking, Kevin. Is because, and it's going to be on a delay whenever you do get more information about the balls and strikes, because they're worried about information being passed to the batter from the dugout. And he's like, nope, box says it's a strike. Challenge. And so to avoid that, and I know you still have a limited number of challenges and everything, but to avoid that, they're going to steer away from that, and then it will affect viewers as well. But the main purpose of it is to make sure that entities or players, I guess, inside the stadium aren't like, challenge. Mm-hmm. I've got the proof right in front of me.
Dang, I wonder, Chris Sale said he's not going to ever challenge a pitch.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true, or do you think he's like...
I think it'll be true for a few starts because he was like, that's the umpire's job. But couldn't you see a scenario where he's just on his last gasp, trying to close out the seventh, the bases are loaded, 3-2 pitch, and he's positive it's a strike? Mm-hmm. I could see in a higher stakes opportunity, he'd be like, all right, never mind.
This is one thing I would tell all of my pitchers: never worry about it. Just never worry about it.
Right.
Because you need to focus. You only have a few seconds to get ready anyway. You need to keep your mind focused on whatever's in front of you.
Yeah.
And if you start thinking about that stuff, it's gonna affect everything you do on the mound.
So good job, Major League Baseball, in putting me in my place, because when I first read that, I was like, what? Bunch of babies. Now, Bryce Harper he was talking about Dave Dombrowski saying, hey, he's not elite anymore. And he goes, I don't get motivated by that kind of stuff. But then he kept talking. And I want to see if you think he really isn't motivated by that kind of stuff. This is in the exact same quote. It was kind of wild, the whole situation. I think the big thing for me was, we first met with the organization, it was like, hey, we're going to keep things in-house. We expect you to do the same thing. When that didn't happen, it kind of took me for a run a little bit. I don't know. It's part of it, I guess. It's kind of a wild situation, that even happening. So it kind of sounds like it motivates him, especially since last month or 2 months ago, he wore the not elite shirt. Mm-hmm. But I appreciate him saying that he doesn't get motivated by that kind of stuff. I think he does.
Yeah, but
I kind of think he should.
But he doesn't. He's not going to tell you that.
Sure, because he's going to keep it in house.
Yeah, he wants to keep all those things because he doesn't want people knowing what motivates him to be elite again.
Look, saying kind of wild is much better than being like, Dombrowski is an asshat.
Yeah.
Like, that feels like that would be hugely problematic and just make this a way, way, way bigger deal. Two more quick things. The Astros are bringing back a Biggio, Kevin Biggio, the probably lesser known of the bunch. He is in the Astros organization. And then I love this from Shohei. He talked about why he still wants his interpreter around. This is, of course, a different interpreter than the one that went to jail. He said, quote, I still need him because there might be some bullies out there that might give me some weird questions that I'm sure he can handle. Feels like he's talking about the nosebleed seats.
Yeah, probably
so. When they're navigating their way through
this is making a lot more sense now, yeah.
I thought they were just having fun, but Shohei would say they were trying to bully him by giving him weird questions. We're the K&C Masterpiece right
Speaking
here.
Of big guys.
Okay, all right. Man, I don't know if it can be one of our primary drops. But if there's any way for us to get Gavin Dawson going, oh, I'm sorry, buddy. That's just my absolute favorite from that.